All right, so enough of you commented down below in the last video that you would love to see the master cylinder video. Now, this is a very similar process to what we did on the front brake caliper. I'm gonna show you how I tear it down, get the plunger out of there, get it down to just the essential kind of master cylinder, and then prep it and polish it so that it matches the whole front end. Now, before we get into the video, I wanted to make an announcement. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I'm an ambassador for Monster Energy, and we built a bike for the Java line of product, a CB550. I have a video right here, I can link it. You can check out all the specs, but they're actually giving that thing away. And I just wanna say that that bike for sure is the best bike I've ever built in terms of like quality, the parts I could use, and so on. So if you want a chance to win, go follow me on Instagram at 13andcompany.com or my personal one at Kyle Vara. And then head over to Monster, follow them, and then click the link in the description and fill out your submission for a chance to win that bike. I'm super stoked for whoever gets that thing because I put in so much time and effort into that bike to make sure that it was at the quality that Monster was looking for. So good luck, but let's jump into the video. All right, so this is the front brake master cylinder. They're pretty simple, there's not much to them, and they stop okay. You know, for the 1970s, this was kind of the way that they were assembled and put together. But yeah, they're really simple. We're gonna take it apart and I'll show you how I do it. So first things first, we're gonna take the cap off. Now, if you just pulled this off your bike, there's probably gonna be some brake fluid in there. Just be careful. There's a little rubber plunger, I guess you could call it, that sits inside of there. You're gonna wanna pull that out and then get all of the brake fluid out of it. Now, I like to pull off the bar clamp too. The next step is to pull off the lever. This is a little 10 mil bolt, just comes right out. And then the top bolt kind of pulls right out. Now, this is a special bolt, so make sure that you keep this. It's got a shoulder on it so that the lever can rotate over it. Before you can get to the C-clip, there is like a rubber dust kind of seal that sits on the outside of the plunger. Now, most of the time these are smoked if it's the stock one, so you might as well just replace it. I'm not gonna be careful trying to get it out because I'm not gonna save it. But as you can see, there's like rust and grease and dirt kind of like grimed up in there. You can replace these, they're pretty cheap. Before you get to the C-clip that's down there, it's most of the time gonna be packed with grease. You wanna clean that out so you can kind of see what you're doing in there. And as you can tell, it's just grimy and there's a bunch of dirt in there. So I might take this over to the parts washer and try to get most of that stuff out so I can see the clip and the holes. Now, getting the C-clip out of this is probably the hardest part of the job. I find that if you put the banjo bolt back into the master cylinder and then clamp it into a vise, it'll give you a lot more leverage to pull this C-clip out. Now, I use a combination of tools to do this. I have a little punch, and then I have a pick that I kind of bent to make this work. And then I also took a sacrificial tiny Phillips head screwdriver and then ground that down to a point so that I could get into the C-clip and pry it. Now, the key here is to use where the lever sits into the master cylinder as your point of leverage, because you don't really have any way to move the pick, only from here. So if you have to rotate the C-clip around so that you can get it here, then you have some leverage to pull that C-clip up and out of the groove, and then hopefully it just pops right out. This one was kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest. Be careful because it is under load, and as you can see, once the clip is out, then this entire assembly will come right out, just like this. So this is the plunger that is inside of the master cylinder. This is the way that it goes in. You have your C-clip here, you have where that dust seal was. There's a little washer that sits right on there, on the plunger. And then you have a seal here, a seal this way, notice the direction. It's got the closed end towards the back here, and then a spring. Now all of this is going to be replaced in my rebuild. As you can tell, like, look at the brake fluid that's kind of built up on the plunger itself. That does mean that I got to clean the inside of this too, because you don't want any of that stuff going in with your new brake system. All right, so we're over at the wire wheel. Just like we did in the brake caliper video, I'm gonna take the paint off of the surface of this. Now you wanna be careful with the wire wheel, because if you push too hard, it'll score it, and then that'll be something that you have to sand out. So let's take the paint off this thing. I got the majority of the paint off with the wire wheel, and there's some hard to reach places, especially with that diameter wheel that I have. So what I do now is on a Dremel, I have a little like wire wheel that's super abrasive, and I will just take this and kind of get into the cracks that I couldn't get. So all the paint is off, and I'm ready to start sanding. Now the wire wheel did leave a little bit of some scuffing. It's very minor, so I'll probably start with an 800 grit and work my way up to a 1500 grit. Now I'm going to use the orbital sander to do the majority of the large surfaces, but then I'll probably go in by hand and finish it off, which sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so I've spent about an hour on this thing, and I've sanded it down. We're about ready to polish. Now this material is some sort of aluminum and I think magnesium combination, so it's super soft. You really don't need much to polish this, but you just want to make sure, just like we did on the brake caliper, you get all of the major like scratches and scuffs off of it, because it'll polish right up within a couple of minutes. All right, so we're finished polishing, and the majority of it is polished. I do need to go back with the Dremel and get into some of these tight little spots just to finish it up, but it is looking pretty good at this point. The one thing that you can do is you can actually polish the cap, and the cap is a very soft material, so it's kind of harder to polish because you just keep getting scratches in it. I'm gonna leave the stock cap on it for this one. I think it looks pretty good. Now, if you got to this point, you're ready to reassemble. I'm not gonna reassemble it in this video, but basically the spring goes in first. You have this little cap that goes on top of that, your plunger, the seal, a washer, and a C-clip go right back in just like how you took it out, and then this thing is ready to go back in service. Now, they make brand new levers for these, and I'm just gonna buy a brand new lever and call it a day. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. These turn out really great. If you can do it and you have the tools in your shop, don't throw them away. They actually polish up really well, and they look good when they're on the bike. So if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps grow the channel. And if you haven't filled out a submission to win the monster bike, go do that. The link is in the description. I'm so excited for that. It's probably going to happen at the end of this month, if not the first week of February. So go follow me on my Instagram, go follow Monster Energy, and until the next video, see ya.